has not been as great as the Home Office were expecting. Now, what I'm hoping, because I do recognise there's a lack of trust, is that when people get wind of the fact that substantial sums are being paid, then the take-up will increase. I am aware, I can't for data protection reasons give you the name, but in the last week, there's one gentleman who's received as a part payment in excess of £100,000. So, you know, if you've got a valid claim, you will be compensated, you'll be compensated substantially. So there's no cap either on the overall value of any claim. These little components all come together and they're assessed. The caseworkers are based in Leeds. I went and visited them. I was very heartened by the fact that they seemed highly motivated to cost the Home Office as much money as they could, to the extent that they were looking at the narrative of claims and going back to claimants and saying, we think you've forgotten to claim this, because reading your story, you've got this additional claim and that additional claim. And that's how I expect it to work. What I need from you is any feedback on claims that people are unhappy with, because I'm happy with the scheme, bar one element, where my advice was ignored, which is to do with criminality. I can discuss that with the people who want me to. But as a scheme, I think the scheme's a good scheme. It's the implementation that's very, very important. It can't require documents in huge numbers, because that's how we got into this mess. Also, people wouldn't have kept documents contemporaneously because there wasn't a scheme. So, for instance, if you were spending petrol money driving somebody to immigration bail, as I know El Wade's daughter was doing for him, I don't expect Rochelle to have her petrol receipts, because when she was panicking about her father potentially being deported, the last thing on her mind was to keep receipts for petrol for driving him to his immigration bail appointment when there was no scheme in existence. Another case that's hit the headlines, it's quite important this, because I do feel that the scheme and its implementation has been politicised. Glenda Caesar case, the lady who said that her offer was peanuts for peasants, which resonated. You can imagine I got a flurry of communications from people about that particular case. I was actually asked to go on Channel 4 News, but they wouldn't tell me why, so I'm not going to walk into an ambush. I have spoken to Glenda Caesar. She's actually one of your Hackney constituents. And I've advised her, first of all, to seek a review, because the initial letter is an offer of payment. And if you're not happy with it, you can say, I'm not happy with this offer, I want it reviewed. And that has to be done within 28 days. So I told her to seek a review. There was a very important piece of information that she'd given me that she didn't put on her form. And that was to do with her loss of earnings claim. She was working within, I think, a general practice, and they kept demanding her passport. She came here at 6 months of age, and she didn't have a passport. And eventually, she says that the Home Office would contact you and said they had no record of her. Employer panicked, thought they were liable to be fined, and she lost her job. That interaction with the Home Office, the fact that her employer contacted the Home Office, was not part of her claim, and that was very important to show that there'd been a challenge to her status being doubted. So that's something that the Home Office are, again, maybe a policy change. I've said they need to be very light touch on this. Having spoken to her, I'm pretty confident that she will now get a full loss of earnings claim. But it does illustrate the need for advice, and I'm eternally grateful to the BCA, and in particular to Jacqueline, first of all for doing the initial consultations around status, and also taking on this burden, because if we can't get legal aid for claimants, if people aren't happy going to citizens' advice, or they think they need more time, I think the community needs to step up, and this could be an intergenerational thing. I've had lots of communications from our elders, but via their children's email addresses, because they're not particularly computer savvy. I've also had, and it's a generational thing, youngsters who have had issues around university because they've been treated as foreign students, because mum and dad's status wasn't sorted, and now neither was granny and grandpa's, and therefore it's actually caused them an issue as well. And I do see this, clearly it was a tragedy, as an opportunity as well, because I would like to see our youngsters getting involved in helping our elders to compile these claims. We've got bright, talented young law students and volunteers, and they could also come and help with the BCA as well. But I am determined that, you know, these are my people, that they